wanted to look cute for the last day of Bookmas, but not going to happen. It's so hot right now and I'm sweating so much. It's really humid. Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. Is the camera tilted? I think it's a little bit tilted. That looks better, I think. If you guys see crazy hair flyaways or whatever, just ignore. Hi, welcome back to my channel and welcome to another day of Bookmas. And I initially wanted to do the top books of 2023 for today's Bookmas, but I decided to cancel that because I still have a few more weeks left in the year of 2023 and I wanted to film that before I leave for vacation just in case I end up finding a good read in the next 2 weeks. We're gonna do the end of year book tag instead. I've seen a lot of booktubers do this. Destiny was the first person to do it, and then I saw Rachel Catherine do it, and I really wanted to do my own rendition of this book tag. I just really like doing sit-down videos, and I think that is going to be fun to kind of talk through all of the books that I read this year. There's a total of 22 questions. I have it screenshotted here, but I actually don't really know all of the questions. I did watch the videos, but I am very forgetful, so I don't really remember anything. Also, please ignore the hair. I cannot for the life of me figure this out. If you guys have wavy hair, I don't know exactly what type of curl my hair is, but I know I have wavy hair. Please let me know how you guys style your hair because it is absolutely infuriating to have frizzy hair. Anyway, let's get on with the questions. So the first one is most disappointing read of the year. Since I haven't yet thought about the answers for these questions, I'm gonna take a while to think about this. I guess a book I had expectations for but I really didn't like was Funny You Should Ask by Elisa Sussman. I personally felt like I didn't like how they got together. The relationship was a bit off. I think there is the cheating trope mentioned in this book. I just cannot grasp the fact that they fell in love in 3 days and they still loved each other for 10 years even though they are married to other people. It was a very disappointing read. The second question is underdog book of the year. I've read a few books I feel like that are not very well known, that you wouldn't have seen in anyone's videos before. What to Say Next by Jolie Buxbaum. Popping in here to retract my statement because apparently I read this book last year. This book just left a vivid memory in my heart, so I thought I read it this year, but apparently it was last year. After thinking through this, I realized that I had a lot more books I could talk about for this question, and so I'm gonna pick Sorcery of Florence by Margaret Rogerson. This book I went into not really thinking it was going to be a 5-star read because I don't hear anyone talk about this. I've only heard one person talk about it on TikTok. So in the beginning of this year, I picked this up not thinking too much, but this ended up being an amazing read. You follow Elizabeth Rivener, who works in a great library, and in this world there are 5 great libraries, I think. She was adopted and she grew up raised by the people in that library, and so she has an affinity for books. And in this great library there are magical books called grimoires, and in this world these grimoires, they range from class 1 to class 8, class 8 being really dangerous. And one day in her great library, a class 8 grimoire exploded into monsters of ink, killed one of the professors or mentors, I forgot what the term is called. She ended up being accused for this murder, and so she ends up working with a sorcerer called Nathaniel to cleanse her name and also to find out who actually caused this mess. It's a whole story that get into, that you fall in love with in just 500 pages. Everything just happened in 500 pages and it was enough. I didn't need any more than that, and I really liked that. And also the characters in this book, I fell in love with the characters in this book. There is one particular character that I just absolutely love, absolutely adored. I still think about him every single day, and it's not even the main characters, but you guys have to read this to find out who that character is. Just such a riveting book. You get sucked into the world immediately. It's so easy to understand. Nobody talks about this book. Like, please read this book. A book that was overhyped. I'm gonna get so much hate from this, but Archer's Voice by Mia Sheridan is, I think, the most overhyped book of the year. It wasn't published this year, but I did read it this year, and that was a book I DNF'd and I really didn't like. I think I've talked about this in my worst books of 2023, but I didn't like that the male main character is a recluse. He is an outcast, never really socialized with anyone in the town before, and a new girl comes into the town and he automatically gains a liking towards him. Second, the female main character is like insta love with this guy, and I felt like the way they got together was really quick for somebody who is basically antisocial. And I also felt like some of these scenes in here, the spice especially, is very uncomfortable in my opinion, especially that stripper scene. If you guys have read Archer's Voice before, I could not get through that part of the book. It was uncomfortable, to say the least. Another book I want to talk about real quick. I didn't hate the book, but I didn't really like it as much as other people, and that's Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross. I know this book is great. I love the romance. I love the relationship the two main characters have, but what I felt like in this book is that it was lacking a lot of fantasy elements, but it was marketed to be a fantasy romance. So I would love to see more fantasy in the second book. The writing was great though, and I really like the characters once again. Fourth question, fave book couple / couples of the year. I have so many. I really liked Julian and Dahlia from Love Redesign. The character development was amazing, and the chemistry, the tension, the pining was amazing. This was, I think, semi second chance, so I really liked seeing the way they got together and the way they still held love for each other. It was really sweet. Another book couple I loved Kai and Peyton from Powerless. The tension was just absolutely stunning. It was such an amazing fantasy romance book. I love Kai. Oh, I loved Kai so much. What other book couples do I love? I also really liked Harriet and Wynn, but I wouldn't say that they're my favorite book couples of the year. Oh, I love Johnny and Shannon from Binding and Keeping 13. Oh my gosh. Yeah, no words said. I love them to bits. I love them together to bits. Fave main characters of the year, for sure, 100% Selena Sardothian from Throne of Glass. Such an independent, strong-minded main character who has bad energy, and I just really love that. Another character I love is Julian Hates from the Magnolia Parks universe. Julian Hates had my heart in the fourth book, Daisy Hates the Great Undoing. His character growth from the first book was stunning, and his thoughts in that book, I root for him so much. I sympathize for him so much, and I love seeing the way he became such a different person from the first book. I know I still have a lot more, but those are the ones I can think of right now. Number 6 is book that surprised you. I feel like this is almost somehow like the underdog book of the year. I think I would say The 7-Year Slip by Ashley Poston. Before I read that book, I read The Dead Romantics, and even though I did like that book, I rated it 4 stars, I think. I wasn't expecting to really like The 7-Year Slip, but I did. I just felt like the writing has improved so much, and I really liked the character development in that book. I also really like seeing the grief that the main character goes through and the way that she goes through that grief. I love seeing the romance between the two main characters. It was such a good book, so heartwarming, so heartfelt. And I read that on the plane in one sitting, and I just felt like such a good read, so I really like that. New fave author you discovered in 2023, 100% Carissa Broadbent. I read 2 of her series, the Crowns of Nyaxia one and the War of Lost Hearts. The Serpent and the Wings of Night is a 5-star book for me, and I completely fell in love with her world building from that book onwards. I went into Daughter of No Worlds, and even though that book was a 4 stars, the last book of that series was 4.5, and I really liked her world building. I really liked her characters. I really liked the way that she made this fantasy world. Her writing is amazing. It's so easy to get into even though it's fantasy. I will definitely read anything she writes. Definitely a new fave author. 8th is happiest read of the year. Oh, I would say the Chessa Springs series. Any of those books make me happy. I would talk about like my 5-star reads, but a lot of those books make me cry. So I would say the Chessa Springs series in general, all of the books are light, fluffy rom-coms. 9th is most frustrating book you read in 2023. I wouldn't say a frustrating book is a bad book, but I guess you would say that it just gets on your nerves. I was a lot frustrated when I read Jade City, for sure. It wasn't a bad book. I just felt like the character was so flawed, and the actions and the decisions they made just made me really freaking frustrated by the end of the book. It was a little bit hard to get through, but it was not a bad book, and I would love to get through the trilogy very soon. But like, if it was frustrating in a not so good way, I would say any book that I mentioned in the worst books of 2023, I would say all of them were frustrating to me. So number 10 is best adaptation of the year. I thought of book to movie adaptation. That's the only one that came through my head, and the only one I know is They Chosen the Six. That one I read the book and then I watched the TV show, and I felt like the adaptation was amazing. The 11th question is longest book you read this year. That has to go to Kingdom of Ash by Sarah J Maas. That book is close to 1,000 pages. It's 980 something. So yeah. 12th is shortest book you read this year, and I think it's Mysteries of Thorn Manor. Mysteries of Thorn Manor is the novella following Sorcery of Thorn. 13th is fave cover of the year. I love the cover for The Brothers Hawthorne, which is somewhere here. I really like the covers for the Inheritance Games trilogy in general. So The Brothers Hawthorne is a cover I really love and absolutely adore. Any of the Magnolia Parks books I also really like, but not the new covers, the older ones, the ones that I have right now. Ooh, I really like the covers for Icebreaker and Wildfire. I love the artist that makes those covers. So any of the covers she makes, honestly, I really like. 14th question is a book you haven't stopped thinking about. A lot of books I haven't stopped thinking about. I haven't stopped thinking about Happy Place. I haven't stopped thinking about Powerless. I haven't stopped thinking about Door of Glass. Any of my 5-star books, really, I haven't stopped thinking about, which is why they are 5 stars. But a book that I am surprised I still think about, that I feel like I should have given it 5 stars when I first read it, and that is Love Theoretically by Ali Hazelwood. That book completely took my heart. I should have known that would be 5 stars, but I rated that 4.75, and I felt like it should have been a 5-star book because of how much I still think about this book, of how much I want to reread that book and annotate it. I love Jack Smith's character. He is my favorite Ali Hazelwood male main character. 15th is cringiest book you read this year. I mentioned this in my worst books of 2023, but I would say, what's it called? A Witch's Guide to Fake Dating a Demon by Sarah Hawley. That was, I think, the only book that I couldn't go through the spice of. I really don't have much problems reading spice, but that book was so cringy that I couldn't even read the spice. And so I would pick that as my cringiest read. That's the only one I can think of at this point, but I know I have a lot more. Number 16th is Unpopular Book You Loved. Heartbreak House Share by Emily Merrill. I talk about quite frequently, but I feel like nobody talks about that book. I first read that book because of Rachel Catherine, and she also said that it was basically an underhyped book, and I really liked that book. That book was 4.5 for me. It had a lot of found family elements and mentioned a lot of friendship dynamics, and I really liked seeing the main character kind of grow out of her breakup period and figuring out her life as she grew to become an adult. Number 17th is what was the highest and lowest rated books you read this year on Goodreads. I don't use Goodreads on a daily basis, so I don't really know what my highest rated book and what my lowest rated book is. If I have to guess, the highest rated book is one of the Door of Glass series, and I absolutely agree because that series is amazing. But my lowest rated book, I really do not know. I made a video reading my highest rated and lowest rated book in my TBR before, and the lowest one is The House Across the Lake by Riley Sager, and that book I did rate 3.5, and I think the rating on Goodreads is 3.4 or something, so I do agree. Number 18 is Fave Quotes of the Year. We've got a lot. You guys, I really cannot remember much of them, to be honest. I'm very bad at remembering things. I'm very forgetful. I know I have a lot from Happy Place that I really liked. I know I have a lot from Magnolia Parks I also really liked. Number 19 is Book with the Most Unique Concept. I think I talked about this before, but I don't know what book. I can't think about it now. Oh, I definitely would say Warbreaker by Brandon Sanderson. I feel like not a lot of people have a magic system like Brandon Sanderson before, and I really liked seeing the way the magic system worked. That really gets me immersed and that I really enjoyed reading about, that I want to read more about. But sadly, it's a standalone, so there's not much to read about in that world. Brandon Sanderson has really great fantasy worlds and world building. In Warbreaker, the magic system is breath, something with biochromatic breath. The more breath you have in yourself, the stronger you are, the more vivid you see the world in colors. And one person has one breath, but you are able to give breath to other people, and you cannot steal breath. You have to give it to them willingly. There's so much more with the world. What I just explained is just like literally the tip of the iceberg. Number 20 is book you read that you would reread. All of my 5-star books, and once again, like I mentioned before, Love Theoretically, I want to reread so bad, and I don't know when I'm gonna get to that, but for sure next year. And I would love to reread Binding and Keeping 13 just to annotate the books, and also I want to reread the Red Zone Rivals series by Candy Steiner. I really liked that series when I first read it. Question 21 is Reading Goal Reflection and 2024 Reading Goals. To be frank, I never really have reading goals for myself, and since I only started making videos June this year, I think I didn't have any reading goals planned for myself. I did have a goal of 100 books, and obviously I surpassed that completely, but I do not have like reading goals this year, so I wouldn't say that I can reflect on any of them. But I did go over my 100 book goal of this year, and so I'm very happy about that. I think right now, at least so far, I've read 143, and obviously my collection has grown so much, so I'm very proud and happy to say that I've read 143 books. As for my 2024 reading goals, I would like to read 150 books for next year. I don't really know if that's gonna happen or not. My goal is 150 books. I want to try and reach that goal because I feel like I can. If I read 12 books a month, that's 144 books, so I feel like 150 is pretty plausible. Also, I would love to not buy too many books because I realize that when I buy books, I forget the books that I bought previously and I don't end up getting into them. And I need to make a conscious effort to actually read the books that I bought. What are my other reading goals? I would love to read more memoirs. I would love to read more classics and more literary fiction novels. I would love to read more women's fiction as well. Maybe get into Sally Rooney finally next year. I know this author had mixed reviews, but I feel like I need to give it a shot instead of listening to other people's opinions about books. The last question of this video is, after 2023 reading, what are you prioritizing in your 2024 reading wise? I would say just reading more books out of my comfort zone, because all of the times that I end up reading books out of my comfort zone, I absolutely enjoyed. For example, Babel by R.F. Kuang. It's a book that I was so terrified of reading, but I loved it so much. Try not to be swayed with other people's opinions a lot, because a lot of the books I didn't think I was going to like, I actually enjoyed. Read books for fun and not read books because you have to. When you make book videos, it's very difficult to have that kind of mindset, but I really want to make that my motto for next year, so definitely that. I had so much fun making this video. I really liked seeing all of these questions and also talking about the books that I read this year and kind of thinking about all the books that I actually read. I felt like this year really helped with solidifying the things I really liked in books and what I don't like in books, and hopefully I'll have a great reading year next year as well. With that being said, I'm going to end this video here. Thank you so much for watching. Yes, this video is the end of BOOKMAS, but I'm not going to be stopping my uploads. I'm still going to be uploading twice a week starting from next week, and even though I'm going to be overseas, I'm still going to have videos planned, so don't you guys worry about that. So many other videos planned for next week, so keep a lookout even though I'm not going to be doing BOOKMAS anymore. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel if you guys enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!